David,
Yes,
this has impressed me. Tell us a little bit about what this bar is and where the original idea came from.
I will. So this is Tsunami Bar. It's a flexible barbell, okay? And the idea came from my coaching background was college strength coach, 20 years. We use a lot of West Side principles, Louis Simmons, dynamic effort, chains and bands, the dynamic effort. So we were trying to find ways to do variations in our dynamic effort. So we were really, that's how the Tsunami Bar was born in Clemson University in a football weight room. And so an engineer, Gordon Brown, came to me with an idea, and we put our heads together, my coaching side and his engineering expertise on composites, and the Tsunami Bar was born.
Right. So there's a place that so if you to understand the concept, then you've got these bars that are kind of almost like starter bars to understand the concept. So do you want to explain about that product first?
So we also have Tsunami Starter Bar, if you want to hold it, or I can hold it. It's basically the same idea. It's kind of a primer stick is what we like to call them. We call them battle sticks. So this can be something to help, fire your central nervous system to get it going. You're through the fascia, through the skin, through the muscular, trying to get all those sensory receptors firing, okay? And getting some good blood volume before you lift. So it's basically a dynamic to the dynamic, right? So it's a little dynamic primer to the dynamic lift, all right? So we're working off an oscillation, which is the movement. You can feel the pressure of the anterior posterior chain working in symmetry with each other, okay? So this will give you an idea. What I like about this bar and this bar, it's the same thing, just a smaller form, is that you get pressure, east and west, but when you're doing it this way, you got north and south, but you also get a circular motion. So there's some other products that just go up and down. This will actually go east and west, north and south, different directions. Right. So it'll mimic your movement. It gives you resistance in any movement that you want to apply to it.
So what's this on the end?
This is just a weight. Okay. It's just a weight on the end. So it's something you can take off. And if you want to change the deflection of the bar, you can slide it down or slide it up. And what it does, it actually makes the bar stiffer. So what you're doing is you're shortening the pressure on the fiberglass that's inside the bar. And so now, see how quicker it is? It's a lot quicker now. So it's fast, a little quicker twitch. And so you basically can go back, you have more lag with the weight.
Oh, okay.
With the weight up high, you have more lag. So it's a real quick fix. You have more lag, see the lag in it now?
Yeah.
And then you slide it back down and you get a quicker response. Just drop it down, you're putting different pressure on the fiberglass inside. And so now, quicker, right? Quicker, and so you can make it stiffer. So as you get stronger, you ain't gotta buy another bar, you just move the weight down.
Right. And what is this made of?
This is made of it's basically a rubberish plastic combination, specially formulated just for this bar we have made, all right? And then inside there's fiberglass.
Right.
So there's fiberglass inside that rotates on an axis. What makes it work.
Right.
Real simple.
So then you progress onto this bar then.
Right,
so
this is the same thing, it's just at another level. So anything you can do with a standard barbell, you can bench, you can squat, you can clean, you can deadlift, you can jump with it, you can walk with it over your head, it'll give you oscillations. And so what it's doing essentially from a dynamic effort standpoint, you're using a sub-maximal weight to give you a maximal result, a maximal force.
So let me try a quick squat on that.
The bench is the easiest to kind of get started with.
Okay.
But the squat is the one I really like the most.
Okay. So the one you showed me earlier.
You want to do the Zercher squat?
Zercher squat. Okay.
So the Zercher squat.
So just hold it here, yeah?
Just hold it in the cuff of your elbows. Okay. Let the bar kind of drag on you a little bit. And then as you squat, allow your elbows to go right inside your kneecaps. It'll open up that hip girdle. So now the pressure is in the frontal plane, but you're also holding it, supporting it with the posterior chain. All right, as you move, you're getting good hip activation, good glute activation. You're getting lower erector activation, transverse abdominal, even adductor around the hip. Good knee bend, good athletic
as well,
good athletic movement. It's a natural squat.
Yeah.
So you start powerlifting, you're worried about doing a hip hinge squat. This is a more natural upright position.
Yeah, it feels nice on the hips, particularly if you're stiff like I am.
Well, if you can go quick with this, or you can actually load the bar up, give you even more drag on the bar.
Right.
You'll have a less likelihood of the bar coming up out of it as well.
You really kind of explode as well.
You feel that oscillation too as you come out.
Yeah,
and so your hips
nice
are also,
feeling.
you almost have that perturbation of your hips, and you got to stay in the groove as you come out of your athletic position.
Yeah. Yeah, you feel as though there's a lot of different things going on when you're doing
it's
that.
pulling you, so you got to stay in that groove.
Yeah.
You got to stay in that plane.
Yeah.
You really got to fight against that. So you get anterior, posterior,
squats, but
locking together.
I just, it takes me a lot longer to warm up to be able to do the back squats now. That's very nice, even though it's a relatively lightweight. So do you see people doing lighter training with this, or combining it with sort of heavy days or anything like that?
So both.
Okay.
So my idea at first, this whole process was to make this as my dynamic effort movement. In my max effort movements, I was going to use a steel barbell. However, we have evolved and we've made the bar, this is the most flexible bar. So just like you have the small sticks, we now have a force bar and a max bar that has a firmer fiberglass inside that gives you a different response.
Right.
So as you move. So I believe, and some people are going to hate me when I say this, I believe that we can actually replace the steel barbell, even though I grew up with a steel barbell, and I still love the steel barbell. But I believe we can replace it and give you the same or even better resistance at maximal effort with less likelihood of getting hurt.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So, and that's important. If you're an athlete, you know, it's important to get strong there. It's important to stay strong.
Yeah.
Because if you're injured, you're no good to your team.
I speak to so many athletes in their kind of 40s, 50s, and 60s that all say, I did too much heavy stuff when I was younger, and they all suffer a lot. I suppose when you're younger, you don't necessarily think about what's going to happen when you're older, but it's certainly something I wish, someone had told me about this sort of stuff earlier.
Well, the way the bar lays on you, instead of putting the force in a direct spot, your body actually shares the force in different spots of your body.
Okay.
So it just makes it safer all around, and it actually allows for more muscle activation as you're working through.
Yeah, I can feel that. With such a lightweight, it feels, it's one of those things I'd like to get one of those.
Yeah.
And what so if you're doing deadlift, would you use that same bar, or would you use
I would
more
probably use a stiffer bar, this max bar. You can feel it on a deadlift if you'd like. Pull it out. You'll see the difference. And so this is a 45-pound plate. It's still going to flex for you, but guys that like to do maximal lifts use this bar.
And when we did the bench press, you said you generally hold it in quite narrow.
I do. So the tighter the grip, the more oscillation. The wider you get your hands, the less deflection oscillation you're going to get.
Right.
It's just physics is all it is.
So what, on a deadlift then, where would you
So deadlift, I would just go hands right outside just like you would on normal deadlift.
Like here?
Yeah. If you want to have less flex, get your hands a little wider on it.
Okay.
And you'll have less flex on the bar. So now it's a 15-pound bar, and now you have 45s on each side. So you're actually, you're at roughly 105 pounds.
And are you generally doing faster movements with?
Not so much with the max bar. You can. So you could actually do the same movement here with this bar. You just have to be a strong enough and fast enough athlete to move it at the same level that you would move this bar.
And the other thing is, obviously, it's a lot thicker than the regular bar. So you've got
the idea behind that. Now we do have a standard grip that we have, the same deal. And so when we're working with the Chinese, they were actually asking us to make a smaller grip because their hands were smaller. And so it felt better in their hand. So we do have a smaller bar there. I just didn't bring it with me. The reason we chose a bigger tube, because when I and Gordon Brown were developing the bar, I told Gordon, the engineer, I said, hey, I'm working with football players, Division I football players. I want their grip strength to be strong. I said, can we make a 2-inch bar? So that's kind of how it all came about.
And what's this here then?
That's just a wear pad to make it look like a barbell.
Okay.
So when it's sitting in your J cup, it doesn't scuff up your bar. It has no other use other than not scuffing up your bar.
Why the length? Why is it the
length?
It
is to give you the deflection.
Right.
Now, let's move the weight in. You can feel it. It'll feel more like a standard barbell. So if you move the weight in.
And are you meant to sort of change the position of the?
Right now, you feel it now. It's going to feel more standard.
Yeah.
It's really.
Yeah.
So all you're doing again, it's an engineered product that you're using by applying, speed, force, and physics to get the mass of the bar, the actual force of the bar. And that collar looks like this. So what we do to keep the weight from falling off is we put in a little pin in the end.
Oh, okay.
And so when the weight slides, it won't knock it off.
All right. And do you play around with the position of the plates then on it at all?
I do. And we also, so if I want to load it up, I can put another collar on here that doesn't have a pin, and we can move it to change the deflection of the force.
Nice.
On the bar.
Well, David, thank you.
Thank you very
product.
much.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.